Welcome to the We Can Fix Climate Change podcast, where we dive into real solutions for combating climate change. Join us as we explore actionable steps towards a better, sustainable future. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest episodes. In today's episode, we'll cover Japan's new role in a global coalition against plastic pollution, France's ban on short-haul flights, concerns over Abu Dhabi Oil's CEO as president of COP28, Millennial workers' plans to change jobs based on environmental impact, The Guardian's essential climate change actions, and the investment in renewables over fossil fuels.
Japan is the newest member of the High Ambition Coalition to End Plastic Pollution, or HAC, which was established in 2022, with the aim of creating a legally binding treaty to end plastic pollution by 2040. Although HAC has not yet established any binding rules between its member countries, it has become an important coalition working to combat plastic pollution. With Japan on board, the HAC now boasts of a total of 56 member countries. Interestingly, every G7 nation has joined the coalition, except for the US. It's essential for countries to continue working together towards this common goal to end plastic pollution for the betterment of our planet.
France recently passed a new law that bans short-haul flights that have already established alternative rail routes that can be traversed in less than 2.5 hours. It's definitely a step in the right direction for reducing carbon emissions and promoting eco-friendliness. However, it's worth noting that trains are already highly favored over planes in France, so this law will only affect 3 air routes, all from Paris to other cities. Interestingly enough, the original plan for this law was to ban all flights that could be completed in 4 hours by train. But as you may have already guessed, it was scaled back to its current version.
"130 members of the EU Parliament and US Congress have come together to send a letter to the US President, the President of the European Commission, and the Secretary General of the UN. So what is the request about? Well, they are requesting that Sultan al Jaber, the CEO of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, be removed as president of this year's upcoming COP28. Why? Because there is a conflict of interest. The letter argues that al Jaber's position would give him undue influence over the proceedings of COP28, potentially benefiting the fossil fuel industry. This would make it difficult to ensure that the conference is unbiased and focused on the goal of fighting climate change. The letter is a bold step towards transparency and impartiality in the proceedings of COP28. It remains to be seen whether the request will be accepted or not. But the letter shows that there is a growing concern among leaders that the fossil fuel industry should not have undue influence over global climate action.
Have you heard about the latest survey conducted by Deloitte? They recently released some interesting findings on how the Gen Z and Millennial generations feel about the progress being made on various global issues. Now, when it comes to climate change, the results are particularly noteworthy. The Energy Mix took a closer look and found that 40% of respondents under the age of 40 have either already changed jobs or plan to do so due to their employer's environmental policies or impacts. That's a significant number. It really goes to show how important environmental issues are becoming in the minds of younger generations as they consider their career paths. It'll be interesting to see how this trend evolves in the coming years.
Have you heard of the article published by The Guardian that outlines 8 things that need to be done to avoid the worst of climate change? It's a straightforward list of actions we must take to address this pressing global issue. The first item on the list is reducing methane. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas that contributes significantly to climate change. Next on the list is stopping deforestation. Deforestation is a large contributor to carbon emissions. We also need to stop burning coal. Burning coal is a major source of carbon dioxide emissions. Another action we can take is changing the way we eat and grow our food. The production of meat and dairy products creates a significant amount of emissions. Putting climate at the heart of all decision-making is another critical step we must take to address climate change. These are just a few of the 8 things on the list. To learn more, click on the link in the description box to read about these actions in more detail.
A recent report from the International Energy Agency talks about the state of renewable energy investment compared to fossil fuels. Apparently, global investment in renewable energy is 1.7 times higher than investment in fossil fuels. It's great to see that more and more investment is being made in renewable sources of energy, like solar and wind, and hopefully that trend will continue. But there's a catch. The report also points out that energy grid infrastructure is going to be a major limiting factor for the electrification of our society. In other words, even if we have all this renewable energy that we're investing in, we need to have the infrastructure in place to actually use it. So that's something to keep in mind as we move towards a more sustainable future. On the bright side, the report predicts that sales of electric vehicles are going to increase by 30% in 2023. That's huge. It's great to see that people are starting to embrace electric vehicles and that we're moving away from fossil fuel-powered cars. Hopefully, this trend will continue and we'll see even more EVs on the roads in the coming years.
On today's episode, we covered Japan's new treaty to combat plastic pollution, France's ban on certain short-haul flights, conflict of interest concerns in COP28, Deloitte's survey on environmental policies in the workplace, essential actions to combat climate change, and the investment numbers in renewables versus fossil fuels. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for the links to all the stories, and don't forget to subscribe for more climate and environmental news updates.